you're standing in a room, and you have absolutely no idea why. You just had the thought, it was right there, and now there's nothing. Just you, standing in a doorway, looking like an idiot. Here's what's insane. That feeling you're having right now, that blank, frustrating emptiness, that's not forgetfulness. That's your brain actively destroying information in real time. Not losing it, not misplacing it, destroying it. And it's doing this constantly. Millions of pieces of data, erased every single second. Because if it didn't, you would seize, short circuit, and shut down within minutes. Your brain isn't broken when you forget. It's working exactly as designed. The problem is, the design has a flaw. And that flaw hits you every single day in ways you've never connected to the same root cause. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what your brain is doing, why it's doing it, and the 3 things that can actually slow it down, backed by neuroscience, not productivity influencers. Let's get into it. Why names disappear. There's another version of this that almost everyone experiences, and almost no one understands. And that's why names vanish within seconds of hearing them. You shake someone's hand, they tell you their name, and 30 seconds later, it is completely gone. Not fuzzy, gone. Here's the neuroscience. Names are semantically arbitrary. They carry no inherent meaning. There is nothing about the word Marcus that tells your brain anything about Marcus. It's just a sound. Compare that to learning that someone is a surgeon, or that they grew up in Iceland, or that they're terrified of birds. That information immediately connects to existing networks in your brain. Stories, images, emotions, associations. It has somewhere to go. It hooks into something. A name, especially an unfamiliar one, is a floating, unanchored piece of data. And for it to survive in working memory, it needs active rehearsal or emotional association within the first few seconds of hearing it. If neither happens, the name competes with everything else on that crowded desk and gets bumped with zero ceremony. This is made worse by something called the cocktail party effect. In any social situation, your auditory cortex is simultaneously processing multiple voices, background noise, facial expressions, body language, and your own internal dialogue about what to say next. Your cognitive resources are split before the name even arrives. You were never actually listening with your full brain, and the name paid the price. The doorway effect. Now, for the specific reason you forget things the moment you walk into a room, because this one has a name, it has been studied in controlled experiments, and once you understand it, you will never look at a doorway the same way again. It's called the doorway effect. Researchers at the University of Notre Dame ran a series of experiments where participants moved through either a real physical environment or a virtual one, carrying objects and completing tasks. What they found was unambiguous. Walking through a doorway significantly increased forgetting compared to traveling the same distance within a single room. The doorway itself was the trigger. Here's why. Your hippocampus, the structure responsible for organizing and packaging memory, uses physical transitions to segment your experience into distinct episodes. It's how the brain creates chapters in your life story. When you cross a threshold, your hippocampus signals the end of one episode and the beginning of a new one. And the intention you were carrying? I need to get the charger. I'm going to check on that email. That intention was encoded in the context of where you formed it, the spatial cues, the visual environment, the emotional state you were in. All of that was woven into the memory. Cross the threshold. Context collapses. The retrieval pathway weakens because the environmental anchors that held the memory in place no longer exist. This is context-dependent memory, one of the most replicated findings in cognitive neuroscience. Your brain doesn't just store what you were thinking, it stores where and when and what it felt like to think it. Remove the where and the what becomes much harder to retrieve. And the doorway is just one version of this. The same thing happens every time you switch apps on your phone, every time someone interrupts a thought, every time your environment shifts before the intention has been locked in. Every event boundary is a potential memory erasure. The filter your brain runs 24/7. Every single second, your senses are dumping somewhere around 11 million bits of information into your brain. Sight, sound, temperature, proprioception. The feeling of your clothes on your skin right now. Your conscious mind, it can process about 40 to 50 of those bits. Maybe. So what happens to the other 10,999,960 bits? Your brain kills them instantly, without asking you. This is handled by a structure called the reticular activating system, the RAS, a dense bundle of neurons running through your brainstem. The RAS acts as a gatekeeper. It decides what reaches your conscious awareness and what gets silently discarded. And the criteria it uses: survival relevance and emotional weight. Loud noise passes. Your name passes. A neutral room you've walked into 100 times, deprioritized. The reason you walked in? If it wasn't emotionally charged, if it had no urgency attached to it, the RAS essentially waves it through as low priority. And your prefrontal cortex, the part of you that was going to remember, never even gets the signal cleanly. You didn't forget. The information was filtered before it ever had a chance to be remembered. And here's where it gets worse. Because even what does make it through the filter, even the thoughts that reach your conscious mind, are being held together by something far more fragile than you think. Working memory, the desk that's always full. What actually holds a thought in place long enough for you to act on it is called working memory, and it lives primarily in your prefrontal cortex. Think of working memory like a desk, a small desk. It can hold roughly 4 to 7 items at a time. That's it. And those items aren't saved. They're not written down anywhere. They're being actively maintained by electrical activity, neurons firing over and over again just to keep the information alive. The moment you get distracted, those neurons stop firing. The thought doesn't move to a drawer. It doesn't get filed. It collapses. Here's the exact mechanism. Working memory is sustained by a neurotransmitter called dopamine acting on D1 receptors in the prefrontal cortex. Dopamine keeps the signal warm. It's what lets you hold a thought while you act on it. But your prefrontal cortex is also extremely sensitive to stress hormones, particularly norepinephrine and cortisol. When those spike, when you're rushing, overwhelmed, anxious, the D1 receptor response weakens. The dopamine signal degrades faster than it can be maintained. The desk clears itself, and whatever was on it is gone. This is why stress doesn't just make you feel scattered. It is literally dismantling your ability to hold a thought at the chemical level. You are not imagining it. The biology is working against you in real time. Can you fix it? The mechanisms are real. The biology is real. But none of this is fixed. Here's what the research actually supports. Not life hacks, not supplements, not a morning routine. Actual interventions that work with the neuroscience. First, verbalize the intention out loud. When you form an intention and speak it, even as a whisper, you engage what's called the phonological loop, a separate rehearsal system within working memory that operates independently of your primary visual spatial workspace. You are essentially creating a second copy of the thought in a different neural channel. That redundancy dramatically increases the survival rate of an intention across an event boundary. Say it out loud before you move. It sounds ridiculous. It works. Second, create a retrieval cue before you transition. Before you walk through the door, anchor the intention to something physical in your current environment. Look at an object, touch something, point at it if you have to. You are giving your hippocampus a sensory hook, a contextual bridge between the old episode and the new one. That bridge can keep the memory accessible even after the threshold is crossed. Third, repeat names immediately in spoken context. The moment you hear a name, use it out loud in the next sentence. Good to meet you, Marcus. This forces active rehearsal, begins the process of associative encoding, and creates an emotional moment, however small, around the name. One spoken repetition in context is worth more neurologically than 10 silent repetitions you never actually complete. Fourth, deliberately reduce cognitive load at the moment of encoding. Working memory has a hard ceiling. If your brain is already full, mid-task, mid-conversation, mid-scroll, when a new intention forms, that intention will not consolidate. It needs space. Give yourself half a second of nothing. Let the thought land before you move. This is not meditation. It is not mindfulness. It is just the biological minimum required for a piece of information to transfer from the moment of formation to a place where it can actually be retrieved. These aren't workarounds. They are the direct application of how your memory system actually operates. Your brain is not malfunctioning when you forget. It is doing exactly what 200,000 years of evolution built it to do. Filter aggressively, conserve energy, segment experience into episodes, and prioritize anything that could keep you alive over anything that can't. The cost of that system is that mundane intentions, arbitrary names, and low-stakes thoughts get caught in the crossfire every single day. But now you know the exact biological chain, from the reticular activating system filtering the signal, to the dopamine holding it on the desk, to the hippocampus erasing it at the doorway. And more importantly, you know how to work with it instead of against it. If this changed how you think about your own brain, subscribe. There's a lot more where this came from.